We're live. How are you doing? It's Monday night, and it is 7 p.m. We are here at Newport Richie at the WeBeam studio, WeBeam TV studio for our, what, 31st, 32nd show?
I think it's 32nd.
8 months. Right, and as you know, last week I was all alone because my co-hostess, the Puerto Rican princess, Miss Nada Cerrito, was on a well-deserved one-week vacation. Welcome back. She's back.
It wasn't a week.
It wasn't a week?
No.
Seems like I went from like Thursday to like the next Thursday. It wasn't. I just didn't see you for a week.
You just didn't see me for a week.
I missed you. Right, anyway,
I missed you
she's
too.
Back. She's back. Tonight we're going to go very quickly through what we normally do, a synopsis of the show for our new visitors, for our new viewers, and then we're going to get to something very quick. We're very excited about tonight's show. I hope it goes over. It's something different. But first, just as always, a little synopsis about what 62 Who Knew is for the people just joining us for the first time. 62 Who Knew is a theory that is not new, but basically, as you approach 62, every generation in this country, whoever's watching right now, your father, their father after that, before that, as they approach 62, that's the time you really get serious about retiring. You should be planning for it for a very long time, but it's when you're approaching 62, you go, did I save enough money? Did I do the right things? Do I have enough life insurance? Why did I drop my life insurance? Should I take early Social Security? Should I defer it till later? I mean, the questions just never end, and they're always the same questions, basically from generation to generation. Nothing changes. You want to live in quality during retirement. But my generation, the generation that's approaching 62, which is the baby boomers, 10,000 people a day for the next 19 years, turning 62 years old, not in the world, but in this country. That generation is facing a different obstacle than any preceding generation. And what is that obstacle? That obstacle is longer lifespans. And you would think that's not an obstacle, that it's a blessing. But thanks to medical science, medical and scientific breakthroughs, basically, if you make it to between 60 and 62 in this country, the odds are you got about another 30 years left. And that's not true for our fathers, our grandfathers, certainly their fathers. You had 10, 15 years to plan on, to live in quality. Not half the time you've already been here. So that's what 62 Who Knew is about. Who knew we'd still be here for another 30 years? For those of you old enough to remember, George Burns said, I think it was on his 100th birthday on Johnny Carson. I know I'm dating myself, but so what? He said,
who's George Burns? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I think we hit you on TV. I could get arrested. George Burns said, and it's so true, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. And I think that's a lot of us. But George made it to 100 at a time when people weren't doing that. Now a lot of people are doing that. And with medical breakthroughs, our show about 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, that had the Weitzman Institute on it. We learned people are going to be going into the 100 soon. And by the way, the Weitzman Institute is coming back in April to tell us about some more scientific breakthroughs that are going to make us change the name of the show from 62 Who Knew to, I don't know, 98, and it's still great. I don't know. But after that show, we might have to change the name. But tonight we're doing something different, so we're not going to take too much more time. I want to get this guest on very quickly, Mr. David Hall. Mr. David Hall is a national spokesman for LegalShield. I know I've heard of LegalShield for a long time, but didn't know quite what it was. Have you heard of it in the past?
I've heard of it, but,
yeah, but not,
I don't know all of the ins and outs
yeah,
of it.
me either, until recently, and even now I don't. But it was introduced to me about a year ago. In a nutshell, David's going to explain it much better than I. In a nutshell, it is a mass buying club that has put together a national network of attorneys, and when you join LegalShield, you pay a ridiculously low amount of money per month to have constant legal care, legal advice, legal services right at your fingertips 24/7. And when I heard this man speak a little over a year ago, I mean, I did something bad. I went, no, this is too good to be true. And that's what people do to us when it comes to reverse mortgages, and they don't believe it. And I really shouldn't have. It was a bad thing to do. But it was an incredible presentation. I told him it was so incredible, I don't believe that it's that good. It just can't be. But then a very trusted member of my family, He's getting a shout out on TV. Chris Banner. That's right, Chris, nothing but love. He told me I should be doing this for the last year. I kept telling him he's crazy. I don't want to be involved. But Chris got involved in the last year and not only achieved success, but he is just helping so many people that normally would not be able to afford an attorney. There is different clauses and things that you can do with LegalShield about identity theft, which is the #1 crime in this country and growing. There is gun insurance, which rivals and in some ways is even better than the NRA. I have listened to stories now from Chris and his clients of such success of how LegalShield saved them, whether it be a car accident or their will or their trust or their child got into a car accident or whatever, and they picked up their cell phone, hit the LegalShield icon, and had the right advice right at their fingertips. So this is the first time ever that 62 Who Knew is actually going to push a product. Our website is set up as of now. You can go to www.62whoknew.com. Go to the LegalShield icon, which is a little further down. That's right, keep going, keep going. It's the only one that looks different. And there it is, number 6. Click on that. You will get right to an application if you decide while you're watching this show that you can sign up with. It's simple. I did it. I'm ashamed to say I only did it about 6 weeks ago, and it's already been of help to me. I can honestly say that for the one time I used it, I probably saved 2 years of the monthly fee that I pay. It's just absurd. We're going to refer back to the website, but we're also doing a PowerPoint presentation, which we've never done also. So let's get David on. I'm going to give a quick, hello, David. I'm going to give a quick biopsy? That's terrible. We're going to do a biopsy.
I think you need to be a little closer for that.
It's not going to hurt. Please put your ankles in the stirrups. It's not going to hurt. We're going to do a quick bio. That was terrible. Fortunately, there's no editing here at WeBeam TV. I want to read a little bit of your background. I'm not going to read it all because you really are, quite frankly, an amazing individual. But David started very part-time years ago, doing 5 to 10 hours a week in LegalShield, and quickly saw that it was paying him more than all his other jobs put together. And this is a family man, an incredible family man. I can't wait to see him, married with 8 children. God, you got guts. You're my hero. And quite frankly, after his second year, he he surpassed 6 figures, 100 G's in his second year, and has since then been given all sorts of awards for the $1 million class. He's one of their top people in the country. He's just an amazing guy, and I'm sorry I didn't get involved a year ago, but how are you, David? Thank you for coming to 62 Who Knew.
Thank you very much, Mr. Banner, and I'm doing absolutely amazing, but I'm getting better.
That's just, yeah. If people think I have an up attitude, this guy makes me look depressed. So I'm going to turn this over to you very quickly. Please, if you have a little background that you want to do, I only covered a very small part of your very intense bio. If you want to talk about a few things, please do. I may interrupt you a little in the next 50 minutes, but not too much. That presentation that you have, I hope for our 20,000 plus viewers, I hope there's a bunch of them that take advantage of this, and I hope it helps change their lives. So it's all yours, man. Go do it.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll tell you, I was just like you. 20 years ago, I was a young father with 2 kids. I was working a day job and delivering pizzas at night, living in the basement of somebody else's real estate, driving a salvaged title Geo Metro. I'd never used an attorney in my entire life. I worked too hard for my money to ever go pay $300, $400, $500 an hour for an attorney. And quite honestly, I've got a brother that's an attorney, 2 cousins that are attorneys, and my uncle's an attorney. And so I honestly believed I just kind of had the hookup that if something ever happened, my family would step in and take care of me. But later I found out
that they never liked you.
Doctors. They specialize in different areas of law. I found out that my brother, who is an attorney, said, Dave, I don't handle traffic tickets. I don't do wills. I don't do family law. I'm in-house legal counsel for a computer company. When you own a computer company, call me. I might have some advice for you, but it's not free. And so I realized, knowing an attorney wasn't really going to help me at all. And when I saw this service, literally for less than $1 a day, I thought, you know what? I can't afford not to have this service. Me and my wife, with our 2 little children, we didn't have a will or an estate plan, and we saw that through LegalShield we could get it done. And part of my thinking was, I'm just going to get the service and going to get my estate planning done, and then I'm going to cancel it because there was no contract. But I ended up being so happy with the results, I used it on another issue and then another issue. And quite honestly, like I said, within the first few months, I was 4, 5, 6 years ahead, only paying less than $1 a day. That I thought I would be spending more money not having this attorney, this service. So, you know, after using it for a few months, I started telling people about it. I loved this so much. I went to work part-time with the company, and man, then they started paying me more than my full-time job. And well, you know, now we've made a few $1 million with the company, but we really want to just talk tonight about the service and the value of the service. If we could go to the next slide, I want to talk about the best business models of today because they're simple, they're disruptive, they're noble, but they're not easily duplicated, but they all have an app. Next slide. We used to use taxis to get around when we went to airports and foreign cities and stuff like that. But one little app came out called Uber that totally disrupted that industry. Now remember, Uber didn't invent cars. They don't own cars. They don't produce them or anything else like that. All they did was they made it easier and they made the customer experience better. Well, 5 years ago, most Americans had not even heard of Uber, and today they're valued at over $72 billion. Next slide. In fact, when I fly in and out of Salt Lake International Airport, the inside curb used to have taxis, like 30 or 40 of them parked there. Notice that curb's completely empty today, and there's signs out on the next curb that say passenger pickup location for Uber and Lyft drivers. Next slide. Remember when we used to go to Blockbuster for our entertainment? Now, trust me, with 8 kids, I was there every weekend.
We kind of switched. We skipped something between 2 kids and 8 kids. You realize that?
Well, they came so fast.
Yeah, well, I won't make a comment to that, but okay, go ahead.
Well, anyhow, then, there was the late fees if you forgot to return it, and you'd go down there and wait for the new releases, and they weren't there, and just all the headaches and hassles of waiting in line and stuff like that. And then one little app that disrupted the home entertainment industry came out called Netflix. And today, they're valued at over $50 billion. Then, next slide. Remember when we used to go to the bookstore or a library to get information? Then this little company called Amazon said, we're going to save you that trip to the library. We're going to send the book to you. Well, that worked so well, they branched off into clothes and pet supplies and sporting goods. Is there anything that you can't do today?
That's so true.
I haven't done Christmas shopping at a mall for probably 5 years because of Amazon Prime. I just love ordering everything from home and having it here in a day or two. And today, they're the first company to exceed $1 trillion value.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
This just shows when a disruptive company actually serves a valuable product or service in an industry, it's going to totally change that industry. Next slide. Now let's look at the legal industry. The legal industry has actually been around for almost 3,000 years. Rome started out with the rule of law and laws to govern their, citizens and stuff like that. And that worked pretty darn good for quite a while. In fact, our founding fathers took a lot of those philosophies and concepts when they put together our country just a couple hundred years ago. But today the legal system is expensive, it's unresponsive, and it's unaccountable. It's the only industry that really kind of governs themselves. It's so painful to pick up the phone and call an attorney because we know what it's going to cost. It's almost like that dentist without dental insurance. You everything you can to avoid going to see an attorney. Next slide. But that's all changing today because of one disruptive innovation. We have made the legal system affordable. We've made it accountable. And we've made it responsive to the customer. Next slide. Now, this isn't our first rodeo. We've actually been around since 1972. Now, we didn't have apps and the web and everything back then, but the concept came out where you could pay for legal services, and the buying power, just like Walmart and Costco and Sam's Club and everything else, the buying power could collectively get you top-rated law firms that were now affordable for the middle class. Next slide. Now, when I first heard about LegalShield, I thought to myself, why on earth would I need a legal plan? I hadn't been to jail in almost 3 weeks. That's a joke, okay? For the listening audience, that was a joke. I'd never used an attorney, and I had the family hookup, as you know. But then it was better explained to me when they said, well, Dave, have you ever signed a contract or a document you didn't fully understand, or you thought you understood and had buyer's remorse later? Have you ever had a landlord or tenant issue, been overcharged or treated unfairly, received a traffic ticket? I had plenty of those. Needed to prepare your will. That was the one that got my wife. That was the one that made her elbow me in the ribs and say, we're getting this plan because we have 2 little kids and they are not protected right now. Have you ever had a real estate transaction, been the victim of identity theft, or been concerned about it for your kids? Next slide. That's why I love having the power of LegalShield at my fingertips on an app where I can literally touch one button and my attorney is there on the phone. Do you realize that the number one complaint with the American Bar Association is my attorney will not return my phone call? And these complaints are coming from people who already put down $5,000, $10,000 as a retainer, and it's been 2 weeks and the attorney won't return their phone call. But with LegalShield, we guarantee you in writing that if your attorney is not on the phone there when you call in, he'll return your call within 4 business hours. That is unheard of. There is nobody out there that even comes close to that. And we give you unlimited personal advice. You can call 5 times a year, 5 times a month, or 5 times a day. Heck, you might just be legally lonely and want to know what your rights are.
I think I'm legally lonely. I'm not sure. Is that a status? I need to apply for that.
You might need to. You might want a contract or a document reviewed, or maybe the IRS is calling you, or maybe you got in a lawsuit, or maybe you got family services like uncontested divorces, adoptions, separation, annulment, name changes. Those part right there kick in 90 days after you become a member, but everything else that I covered tonight is covered instantly within 10 minutes of signing up. Your law firm has your membership information. That is absolutely crazy. Next slide. Now, I've used this for situations over $1 million on real estate issues and hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of dollars. But I got to show you this story right here. I got an invoice from a company, and you can see in the top right-hand corner, this was in February 2011. I got an invoice for $1.50 for internet service, but my internet company is a company called CenturyLink. And you can see the previous balance was $0 because I was not their customer the previous month. But somehow you can see below that they say that I used partial internet of $1.50. Well, I figured you don't need to call an attorney on this. I'm just going to call them up. And I dialed their customer no service line. And I argued with somebody in India about $1.50. And they threatened to send me to a credit reporting company if I didn't pay the bill. I said, let me talk to your manager. They put me on hold for a half hour, and somebody else came on the phone. And I argued with them. I said, let me talk to your manager. I had to escalate this through 4 levels of management to get somebody to credit me $1.50. It took half of a day to get $1.50 credited back to me. Now, notice that was February. Next slide. You can see it looks very similar, but in the top right-hand corner, this is now March. Previous balance was $1.50. They credited me $1.50, and then they billed me $1.50. And you can see on the left-hand side that there's a $3 monthly charge for paper statements in the future and a $5 late fee if I don't pay the $1.50 that I don't owe in the first place. Now, they pissed off the wrong person, because I have an attorney on retainer. I picked up the phone, next slide, and I called my law firm. And I let my law firm know that I was being harassed by a creditor for $1.50, and they were going to send me to a collection office to ding my credit report because I refused, out of principle, to pay a bill that I didn't owe. My attorney said, send me up the invoice, Mr. Hall. I'll take care of this. It was so nice to flex that muscle that I'd never been able to flex before. And my attorney fired off that letter to that company, letting them know that Mr. Hall does not owe that $1.50. And I love the second paragraph where he says, you are hereby advised to zero out this bill, cease and desist from any and all communications with Mr. Hall. If you wish to assert that Mr. Hall owes any amount of money, please provide a copy of the contract wherein Mr. Hall requested services and is obligated to pay. If you prefer to litigate this issue, please advise us.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because every now and then being a career mortgage person helps. I can't tell you how many times a month for the last 37 years that I had to say to a client, hey, I need a letter of explanation, and I'm not picking on any one company, from that late bill from Sears or that $100 judgment from Verizon or T-Mobile or a cable company, and have the client come back and go, I've never used that company in my life. They make calls, they can't get it off. Suddenly, number one, they didn't realize when it hit, it probably lowered their credit score 20 to 30 points because a collection for $1 lowers your credit score, almost the same thing as a collection for $10,000. It's a collection. Not only was the damage done, but I can't tell you how many times I have to say, I hate to tell you this, but if you want to close on your home, just pay it. I mean, you're buying a $300,000 house. Are we really going to are we going to blow this mortgage over a $92 balance to X cable company? And they do pay. Yeah. But you're right. This is powerful because I think I always say this in my mortgage world, if the public knew how screwed up the credit bureaus were of this country, there'd be a worldwide panic of how often something like this happens. I didn't mean to interrupt, but this is real, and it affects people every minute of every day when they're going to buy a house or a car or get a college loan for their children, or they're applying for that, what's that credit card that you do in every dentist's office, cred care. This is the thing that hurts you. And to have the ability to fix it is unbelievable.
You know, and the funny thing is, when I run into people and they hear about this company, occasionally I'll hear someone say, well, you know, that's a really nice program you got there, Dave, but I've got a friend that's an attorney, or I've got a neighbor that's an attorney, or my brother's an attorney. Heck, I've even heard I go to church with an attorney, and you know that's a lie. But the truth is, would you pick up the phone and call that attorney over $1.50?
Not a chance.
No. Of course you wouldn't. I mean, who wants to be that mooch, that guy that's trying to suck off the free services of the attorneys and ruin the friendship? And do you really even want your family and friends knowing your personal legal issues?
That's right.
That's why a legal plan makes so much sense. Next slide. This is a picture of a traffic ticket. Now, if you receive, or a covered family member, and I got 3 teenage drivers on my automobile insurance, so this is valuable. You receive a moving traffic violation anywhere in America, you take out your app, you touch the speeding tickets button, it takes a photo of the ticket, it uploads it right to your law firm, and within 4 business hours, your attorney will be on the phone with you, letting you know in that jurisdiction what we're going to do to try to keep the points, fines, penalties reduced or dismissed off your driving record. Now, statistically, I am one of the safest drivers on the road out there today, and I get a good driver's discount from my insurance company because they have successfully kept the points, fines, and penalties off of my driving record. Next slide. Now, this is our 24th, actually our estate planning services. If you need your wills, your living will, healthcare power of attorney, any of those documents done, we do these. All you do is simply touch one button, and you can do all your estate planning right there. Do you realize almost 80% of America today has no estate planning in place? No will, trust, living will, healthcare power of attorney, nothing. Now, what percentage of those people are going to die? You know, ballpark.
I'd say somewhere near all and all.
Exactly. Now, When you die without a will, the state you reside in has a will for you. It's called probate. And it turns family member against family member, and it creates complete chaos. I've seen this in my own family as people fought over stuff that I would have put in the back of my truck and hauled to the Goodwill. And they don't get together for Christmas or Thanksgiving or weddings or anything anymore because grandma and grandpa simply thought, we're poor, we don't have very much, there's nothing to fight over. They had no idea the sentimental value of their own personal items. Next slide. Emergency access. If you ever have a legal situation happen after hours or on the weekends, we have attorneys on call. Touch one button. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, we have an attorney right there to help you out if law enforcement or Department of Family Services is involved. Next slide. We also help out with pre-existing conditions, bankruptcies, contested adoptions and divorces, and even your criminal issues like DUIs and stuff, because bad things can happen to good people.
Your last 3 slides basically cover 80 to 90% of America. Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it's amazing. It really is. And you haven't got to what this costs yet, and I want you to do it in your order. Right. But it's, I'm not trying to push you in any way.
Next slide.
Our whole show is about people without the estate plan, without the will, without the living. This whole show is about that. We bring in national people all the time who are saying, you got to go get this. You got to call your lawyer and make this happen. I mean, this.
Well, you think about it. Every time you sit down with a financial planner or something like that, one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, well, do you have an estate plan, a will, living will, things like that done? Because it does the estate planner no good to build you an estate worth $2, $3, $4 million and then turn around, throw the whole thing in probate and make everyone fight over it.
Yeah.
Should you have a plan for that money?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. We'll even help out with contingency cases if, you're a victim of medical malpractice, hurt on the job, or in a car accident or something like that. Next slide. Now, for anyone that's worried about the cost of the service, we have over 400 national corporations, and we're adding more every single month, that give our members an exclusive discount from their company simply because you're a member of LegalShield. For example, when I go to the movie theaters, I get $3 off my movie tickets. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of money until you take 8 kids and 2 adults
with
to the
your
movie.
Kids, that's $3,000. Are you kidding me?
But I get discounts on my cell phone bill. I get discounts when I travel, go out to eat. Next slide. This is actually, I went to SeaWorld this last summer, took my entire family there. You can see we didn't need a ticket for my 2-year-old, but for the other 9 tickets, you can see that SeaWorld wanted $837 for my family for 1 day to go into SeaWorld. Next slide. Before I bought the tickets, I went to LegalShield's website and I saw what they would give me a price for, exact same day, exact same price, park, but $545. That's $300 savings because I was a LegalShield member. Do you realize that's more money than what it costs to keep LegalShield for an entire year?
Yep, I was just about to say that, yes.
That's just one example. I use this a dozen times a month. The net result is they pay me to keep a legal plan. Next slide. So who's covered by our plan? Literally what we say here in Utah, it's the whole litter. Because we don't have kids, we have litters. We're like Labradors up here. So we cover the member's spouse or significant other, any children up to the age of 26 that are college students, dependents up to the age of 18, and physically or mentally challenged children are covered for life. Next slide.
Wow.
So what would you do now that you're aware of this plan? Would you continue to pay $300, $400, $500 an hour? Or would you rather pay less than $1 a day, no contract, month to month, for everything that I've shown you here in our legal plan?
It's such an obvious answer that it's unbelievable. It really and truly is. And I totally forgot, even being a member, only a member for a month. I'm ashamed to say that. I should have believed you a year ago. The people that were up there, the vendors, how much money I spend on Amazon, movie theaters. Marvel keeps coming out with superhero movies every month. Do you know what I spend on movie theaters between children and grandchildren? That is more than I pay for my LegalShield. I mean, you're literally getting it for free.
Absolutely. Well, they actually pay me to keep it. In fact, just this last week, I've got 6 phones on, had 6 phones on AT&T. I wasn't happy with some things that went on. I went into our member perks and saw that T-Mobile would pay me $150 for every single phone that I ported over. So this last week I ported over 6 phones lines, and T-Mobile is sending me a check for $900 for simply moving my cell phone service. No activation fees, all of them waived. That's, again, another 3 years worth of the cost of my legal plan paid for upfront in one example.
Only in America.
I love this service. I don't know why everyone in America doesn't have this. You're crazy because you're losing money. It's costing you money not to have our service, is the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to jump real quick into the second service that we offer. Give me 5 more minutes, and that's identity theft protection. Next slide.
Yeah, I want you to spend some serious time. We're fine on time, by the way. This is very important.
Identity theft, like you mentioned, identity theft's the #1 reported crime in America for now 16 consecutive years, and there is no sign of it slowing down. Yeah. Today, identity theft can affect not just the adults, but the children also. It is devastating, people. Next slide. These are some examples of how identity theft occurs. It can be a fraudulent tax return. That's going on a lot right now. Medical claims where they go in and to get prescription drugs or services under your health insurance because they don't have any. Oh, but what are they changing in your medical file? Your blood type, ailments that you really don't have. I mean, let's face it. If all of a sudden you're in a car wreck or something happens and you're unconscious, you're unable to talk for yourself, and you end up at a hospital, when you can't give them your medical records, they'll go look on a computer. And if somebody else has been living as you and changed critical information about you, that's going to change what the doctor does to you. What the doctor does could now be the thing that actually takes your life simply because somebody else was living as you. And it is the fastest growing segment of identity theft. You had a comment, Mike?
Well, yeah, that just gives me the chills because I only look at identity theft through a mortgage broker's eyes.
Right.
You know, oh my God, that's not my American Express. That's not my car. We're seeing it all the time. I've never even thought of the example. I mean, somebody goes online, says you have O negative blood, but really it's B positive. They give you the wrong transfusion. That's it. You're dead.
Yes.
That's not good.
Yep.
That's not good.
Yeah, so people that go, I don't need any type of identity theft protection because I've got bad credit. I've got news for you. It's not just about credit. It could take your life. And even on top of that, even if it doesn't take your life, Social Security claims. Recently, there was an article, and I sent it to your nephew, about a gentleman living here illegally in America for 27 years, and he drained over $300,000 of benefits from a legitimate legal citizen's accounts in the form of unemployment and workers' comp and disability, and just filed one thing after another using, again, false information.
There's illegal aliens in this country?
There's one.
They should write about that and talk about that. Somebody should do something about that. Build a wall.
Now, of course, there's credit identity theft out there that you're familiar with, but false driver's licenses and character and criminal identity theft. In fact, recently I was just talking with the school district that's looking into offering this to all their teachers there. And there was a teacher that could not renew her teaching credentials because in the off season, she was arrested for prostitution. The problem is she's about 60 years old, and the description of the prostitute did not even come close to fitting her. But when the court record says you have a criminal conviction, they can't renew your teaching certificate until they say, you go hire an attorney, you get it cleaned up, and we'll see if we can rehire you. Your employer is doing background checks. You know, there's so many ways that identity theft can affect you, and you are guilty until you can prove that you're innocent.
Absolutely.
With identity theft. Next slide. So what do? We monitor everything out there. Everything from your credit score to Social Security information to passport, driver's license, credit cards, bank accounts, even the dark web and social media, which are hot buckets for information that we don't realize is sensitive in nature that we are releasing and giving out. If there's anything that is detected, you're immediately notified that this has happened, that this has triggered an alert. You simply reply back, yes, that's me, or no, it's not. If it's not you, we have you sign a licensed power of attorney over to us, where we then have a licensed private investigator come in and completely restore your identity to the good name that it was before the problem happened. Now, I want to make sure, because there are members right now that go, I don't need this because I have XYZ product, or my bank gives me free identity theft protection. Let me tell you what your bank gives you. They give you protection for the credit or debit card that is at their bank. If somebody goes and gets a criminal record and you call them and say, I need an attorney because I'm on the registered sex offender list, your bank is not going to do anything for you. If somebody files a false tax return and takes your $10,000 tax return and you call your bank and say, help, someone took my tax return, they're not going to go do anything with the IRS to get that money back for you. You have this much, a tiny bit of identity theft protection through a debit card or a credit card that quite honestly is already insured through the FDIC if you didn't have identity theft protection. We call these programs that they offer hospital gowns, because you're the only one that really thinks you're covered with them. They do absolutely nothing at all.
I'm writing that down.
You really become a victim of identity theft. Next slide. But our licensed private investigator will do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, to restore your identity to pre-theft status, and we back it up with a $5 million service guarantee. Nobody in the industry even comes close to that. Not even your big name companies that have celebrities on the radio saying they use them come close to that kind of coverage. So, what does this all cost? Next slide. Our legal plan is $24.95 for the entire family. Our identity theft, $24.95. Most people get them together, but you don't need to, $49.90. If you're single, no spouse, no kids, $34.90 for both suites of services that I've discussed there today. No contract, it's month to month, and literally within 10 minutes of you downloading the app, after getting the coverage, your law firm is aware of you as a member. You can use this service tomorrow. They're closed tonight already. You can call them tomorrow and start them working on a nagging legal problem that's been bothering you for years. So with that said, I'm going to throw it back to you, Mr. Banner, for any questions that you have about the service. You did bring up a thing about the gun service.
I do want to talk about that. I want to remind our viewers, it's been way behind schedule, but it's happened. If you're interested in what Mr. Hall is saying, please go to 62whoknew.com, www.62whoknew.com. Go down. Number 6 option is LegalShield. There it is. Go down a little. Number 6, click on that. It will take you to the information page where you can start filling out the applications, pick what you want. I've done it. It's simple. Let me also remind everybody while we're here that not all of these links yet are live, but reverse mortgages and long-term care insurance are now also live links. So if you need information on reverse mortgages or any regular mortgages, but specifically reverse anywhere in the country, please go to that link and fill out the information sheet, and either Nader and I will get back to you. And the long-term care link is live as well. But again, to me, and I'm ashamed to tell you that I didn't do this a year ago, and I did it a month ago. But you go back to that screen, and this is the way I look at things. Whether it's 24 or 49, I added in the gun coverage, so it's a little more than that. And Mike, I don't have 8 kids. I have 3, and they're all older. I mean, but still, between movies, Amazon, cell phone bills, I don't know why I'm not doing that the last month. I know it's not usually my thing, but I recognize names up there that I spend hundreds of dollars a month at. Separate things, thousands together. It's like having LegalShield for free. So please go to www.62whoknew.com, sign up for this. I do want you to talk about the gun coverage. It's a sensitive subject in this nation. It seems like it's one of those subjects that you're either for or against. There's no middle. I have a carrier's permit. It's a gun on me at all times. To me, that's part of America. It's part of our rights. I don't want to get political about automatic weapons and the size of clips and magazines. We don't do that, on this show. But the NRA certainly covers, is it hundreds of thousands of people with their coverage? But I know from you, and I've learned from Chris, that there is a distinct difference, some unbelievable differences between yours and the NRA's coverage. And I'm sure thousands of our listeners are actually cleaning their gun while they're watching us. So tell us, I don't like this, but just tell us a little bit about the gun coverage. Then I want to get back to identity theft for a little bit.
Okay. And whether you're for or against guns, we're all entitled to that opinion, but I think we're all for justice. We're all for fairness. And if somebody was ever breaking into my house or attacking my wife or my daughters or anyone, if someone's attacking a total stranger, I want to be able to help that person and defend that person. Just a few weeks ago, right here in Utah, there was a Starbucks employee that was opening up the store early in the morning. She was all alone in there, and an intruder broke in there and started beating her to rob the place. And she was on the ground, almost unconscious, and he was punching her in the face. And the last thing she thought was, I don't want my daughter to hear how I died. And then a citizen who was outside, saw what was going on, was a concealed carry holder, came in and shot the burglar. He didn't die. He went to the hospital. They saved his life, and he's in jail today. But thank God that somebody had a gun to stop somebody bad. The only thing that stops a bad person with a gun or a weapon is a good person, whether that's with a badge or not. But our concealed carry plan is $12.95, and it gives you immediate legal action right when the incident happens, whether that's 3 o'clock in the morning or in the middle of the day. Immediate action, but then it gives you representation for that grand jury investigation that's going to occur. And then whether it's civil or criminal, we stay with you and cover that part of it also. So literally for about 30 cents a day, if you're a concealed carry person, I hope that you go your entire life without ever having to use your concealed carry license. I hope that that's the case for everyone in America. But isn't it better to have it and not need it than to one day need it and just not have it? Because even if you're innocent, the legal fees could wipe out 30, 40 years of hard work just trying to prove that you were innocent. And so, that part's not going to be for everybody, but there are some people out there who go, hey, look, I want to look a little bit more into it. And all the information about that is also at that 62 Who Knew website. When you click on family membership, it's offered as an additional rider, just like a home business supplement and even extra lawsuit protection. Those 3 items are offered in addition to the family plan for $25, $24.95. Again, 62whoknew.com.
I want to get back to identity theft, but do you have any questions or anything that you'd like to think about? Or
I think it's pretty precise so far.
I got to get back to the identity theft because, again, our mortgage company, Professional Mortgage Alliance, is a small, independent mortgage brokerage company. We do good for ourselves. We're in 2 states. We're expanding to a few more. But we're a small, independent mortgage brokerage company. But when you are like that, you're kind of a microcosm for the rest of the world. I mean, I constantly make analogies. I'm pretty sure that Wells Fargo or Bank of America probably did more mortgages in the 45 minutes that we're speaking than my company may do in the next 6 months. That's the size, the ant to the elephant. But of the 20 or 30 deals that are in my pipeline this month, unlike the tens of thousands of deals in other mega banks pipeline, I can't tell you how many people have said, Michael, that's not my American. Michael, I don't have an American Express. What do you mean I owe $18,000? Well, what do you mean my credit score is 680? The last time I checked, it was 780. Well, maybe have you charged up your credit cards? No, I don't. Well, here I found it. It's the 2 medical collections, to the hospital. They go, I haven't been in the hospital. What medical collections? So if a little company like us has 4 or 5 of those a month. And we're this teeny little microcosm of the rest of the country. How many times is it really going on? Rhetorical kind of question, but I have a feeling it's up there.
Well, in addition to that, it's not only been the #1 reported crime for 16 consecutive years and growing. We successfully prosecute 1 out of every 700 people that perpetrate identity theft. Do you realize that with what I know about identity theft, I could sit on the beach in Cancun with a laptop surfing off of the hotel's wireless network and commit identity theft. I could teach a seminar on committing identity theft if I wanted to go to the dark side. If you knew that it was me doing it and you called the local police department in your jurisdiction and say, I know who's doing this. He's in Cancun, right off of the Marriott at the beach, doing it right now. If you knew who I was and where I was, what's your local police department really going to do about it? A lot of them won't even take a police report because it's such a waste of their ink. They know that they don't have the manpower. Where was the crime really committed? What jurisdiction? He's in Mexico. We're here. Do we have the jurisdiction to go arrest him? They teach seminars on committing identity theft in Russia, for Eastern Europe, on how to rob Americans' identities. Go on the black web. You can buy anything. You can buy people's socials. You can buy their mother's maiden name. You can buy their credit card, their bank account, anything you want. If you're out there thinking, I don't need identity theft because this happens to the guy next door, you're crazy. It does happen. Look at all the security breaches. And I'm talking the major ones like Equifax and the Veterans Administration, the ones that have millions, hundreds of millions of people. We hear about those ones. But do we ever hear about the small security breaches, like say maybe the school where you went to, a doctor's office, a dentist's office, where just an employee forgot to get things password protected and somebody downloaded the information and took it? Your information is everywhere, and it affects so much about what we do. It's your meal ticket in the world today. It affects what you pay when you buy stuff. It affects whether you get a job, a raise. It affects your military clearances. It affects everything. 20 years ago, maybe you didn't need to think about it. Today, you're crazy to be living out there in this world.
Absolutely.
Without it.
I mean, it should be up there with auto insurance, life insurance, medical insurance. This is insurance for your identity. That's what it is. And it's just incredible. And most people can't afford the battle. And I'm talking upper middle income people who have said, there's just nothing we can do, Michael. I go, what do you mean? Your credit score is 480. Yeah, I know. It's been like this for 7 years. And we've given a lawyer thousands and thousands of dollars, and he says it could take years.
That's
you know, the Federal Trade Commission says that it's going to take 600 man-hours per incident to get your identity put back together if a thief gets a hold of it. Where are you going to get those extra 600 man-hours?
Yeah.
I mean, who has an extra 3 hours in a day, you know, after work and making meals and grocery shopping? And again, maybe I have a little bit busier life trying to take care of 8 kids, but I don't have an extra 3 hours in a day, let alone 600 hours. And I'm responsible for all my kids' identities also. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a victim of identity theft because I've had this product for so many years. I don't have to worry about it. If anything does ever happen to me, my wife, or my kids, I sign a power of attorney over to a licensed private investigator, and I go back to enjoying life. No other company in the world does that. They'll send you a do-it-yourself kit, and you'll find yourself spending those 600 hours trying to figure out how to do this.
And I'm a numbers person, so I can't help but say it. If you did consider for a second, it's 600 hours. Let's get somebody at $250 an hour to do this for me. That's $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
For $1 a day. For $1 a day. If you're single. For the single people out there, you can get our identity theft product for $9.95 a month. You can barely get through the drive-thru at McDonald's for $9.95.
That's true.
You shouldn't be going there anyway. but $9.95. I spend more on my Mountain Dew habit each week than I do on protecting my entire family against the legal shield, the legal problem out there, and identity theft.
If you're single, you should have Legal Shield, and then you could put it on Bubble and Tinder. You know, look, I have protection. That would be very good on the dating sites, Match.com, all of those things. We have a little less than 5 minutes to go. Again, thank you for reminding everybody. But guys, you know, go to www.62whoknew.com, go to option number 6, click on Legal Shield. You know, Dave gave you, I won't say a 10,000-foot view today. I think he gave you like a 100-foot view. But you still might have a lot of questions. If you do have questions, you know, Dave, I'm not sure. On the Legal Shield app, is there a place for questions if they're not ready? Or should I send them back to the information?
Very good question. Go to that 62 Who Knew, option 6, and on that you can sign up and enroll yourself. So Michael and myself, we don't collect any of your information. They go straight to a secured server with your information. But there is a place on there that you can contact us, and you can submit questions to Michael. He will get with me. If you would like us to call you back and talk to you and answer questions or help you clarify something, we will be personally, one of us will contact you and answer any question from any viewer out there today.
And I think Chris is going to help. Chris Banner is going to help with this too. Because really, I don't have the expertise. They better ask a very, very simple question like how to spell Legal Shield or something like that. And I'll answer that. If not, it's going to you and Chris. Well, you know, again, I always say this to our guests because we're very picky on who we let on. We've had the nation's best long-term care insurance experts. We've had the nation's best income annuity people. We've had a national director from the Weizmann Institute in Israel. We've had instructors. We've been very lucky on this little show to have great guests, but that's all we allow on, you know, quite frankly. And we have to go out and find them. It's not like they're beating our doors down. So thanks to Chris, I met you. And again, it's always a pleasure, not just doing this, because it is a pleasure to tell people, to give them services. We've never pushed a product like this. So the next 5 to 6 days, we'll see our success. We'll see if people listen to us. It's our first time really saying this is something you really need to do, Mr. 62 Who Knew viewer. But I feel very comfortable saying it. It's on my phone. I use it. I misuse it, obviously, because I learned even more tonight. Every time I hear you, I learn more about what I'm not doing correctly. And it just is kind of amazing. I know you don't have it, but you should have it. I'm going to sell it to you as soon as we get done with the show. I'm going to sign her up as soon as we get done. Don't go to him because he'll give you a better deal. But it's always a pleasure, not just with your level of expertise, but quite frankly, the type of person you are. You know, married, 8 children, doing well for yourself. You're the American dream. How much did you say, John? How long? 3 minutes, that's fine. Plenty of time to describe the American dream. Really and truly, we've talked. You've told me a little bit about your background. I just think it's staggering the success that you've created, what you furnished for your family, and you know, just an all-around good person. That's what this country is, and you're doing something that helps others. Not that there's anything wrong with being a mortgage person or a stockbroker, you know, or a candlestick maker or a baker, as my father would say in the old days. But you're truly a good individual, doing what you do, being successful, you know, just providing for your family, you know, which is really a small baseball team at this point. We just need one more. And doing it with a heart.
Don't tell my wife that.
No, yeah. Obviously, Legal Shield does not have any contraceptive advice. That doesn't exist, does it? That's
the problem is I work from home.
That is the problem. Leave the house. Leave the house, David.
If I had a job, we'd only have 3 kids.
That's because every time she goes to the mailbox and gets one of your big checks, she gets excited. You need to have an office. You need to leave the home. But no, really and truly, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do. I'm sure we'll have other products that we push on 62 Who Knew. That's not really what I planned on 8 months ago. But I truly feel anybody that goes to the website and clicks on that and does this, I think they're going to love it. I think they're going to be happy that they did it. And I'm glad that it's coming from you. And I hope you'll come on again, you know, in the next quarter. you know, somewhere April, May, June, if you'll join us again. Maybe we'll let Chris on. Shall we let Chris on? Maybe. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you're having a heat wave up there. It's in the 50s. Usually it's negative 12. But next week we have a really great show. In fact, it's almost as great as 2 weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, we had on, I got to do this quick, there's 30 seconds. We had on the National Director, I should let you say the name, of Home Instead Senior Care, which is the largest non-medical senior care company in the country. He's an amazing individual, articulate, emotional. Him and his wife that own the franchise not only do great for their clients, but are philanthropic. Well, the god of technology got to us 2 weeks ago, and that show never made it. So he's coming back next week, Mr. Colin Castle. See, we both didn't talk very much this week. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Bye.